Hello and welcome back to another episode of 20-somethings podcast. I am your host, Sarah Birch, and I'm rocking a little bit of a Grinch vibe today. If you're watching on the YouTube, I did some green eyeshadow. I just was feeling a little bit adventurous today, and I'm obsessed with Pinterest, and I love colorful eyeshadow looks, but I'm way too scared most of the time to attempt them. I mean, I'll do like pinks and stuff pretty regularly, but like greens and purples and yellows, I'm kind of still a newbie to makeup, so let me know if you guys think I look okay. I may have overdone it with this green t-shirt I have on. It's like a vintage sports tee, but hey, go hard or go home, right? I also have a little bit of champagne here. That's like the only thing I want to drink lately. I don't know why. I've just been on my classy 2023 Prosecco and champagne era. Like, I just want sparkly, bubbly, delicious, sweet drinks. And it's a Friday night, and here I am podcasting in my room with my champagne, and I'm so happy to have you guys here with me. You guys actually are a little bit involved in this episode because we are talking about your suggestions. I put on my Instagram, what is the best and worst parts about being in your 20s? Because I'm just like, I don't know, I can talk all day and all night about my own experiences, my own struggles, my own thoughts and feelings, and that's totally fine. But also it is nice to hear from other people out there who either are listeners or aren't listeners. It doesn't really matter. I still want people's input, of course, and I want that engagement. So I got a few responses. So we're going to go through a few of those today, and then I'm just going to maybe elaborate a little bit. So I might just add in my own little 2 cents and try to make it relatable in my own way. So thank you to everybody who participated. I appreciate you. It is genuinely hard sometimes it's just an embarrassing time to be alive. Like, I feel so embarrassed when I promote my stuff. I feel so embarrassed when I post on Instagram. I feel so embarrassed just existing these days. I don't know if anyone else feels that way. Like, I'm so over social media, and I know you would be like, girly, what? You are literally a slut for social media. And I don't actually really feel that way. I just know that it's one of the only ways that I can promote myself and my podcast and my brand, quote unquote, my brand. And you know, you have to be able to capitalize on social media in some way if you want to grow with a creative endeavor, whether that be like photography, podcasting, acting, whatever it is. Social media is unfortunately a part of that. So I try to put stuff out there, even though it's so embarrassing, especially when you get like 6 likes or you get like no engagement. But hey, hopefully each time I continue to promote what I'm doing and be open and honest, I'm getting one more person interested. And if that's the case, then that's slow progress, and that's what we're here to do, right? We're here to slowly progress inch by inch and grow this community each week, ideally. I would not want to blow up overnight personally. This is like a little tangent, but like Alex Earl, for example, like, you know, the girl is killing it. And if you don't know who she is, she's like a little blonde 21-year-old TikToker. She likes to do TikToks, like beauty TikToks, fashion TikToks. And she just like blew up one day. I think part of it was because of her Cinderella costume. She was like getting some negative attention for her suggestive costume for Halloween. And then from there, it just kind of grew and grew and grew. And she's like the #1 influencer right now. And she's having her moment, and it literally feels like overnight she became like the most influential girl in the world, and everybody wants to wear what she's wearing and hear what she has to say and live vicariously through her. And like, I worry for her because that's like a lot. That's a lot all at once. That's a lot to put on someone whose brain isn't even fully developed yet. That's a lot of opinions in your ear and criticisms, or not even criticisms, but potentially compliments and exaltations of people painting you out to be like God's gift to earth, which a lot of people think that this girl is. So I'm glad, maybe this is just me making myself feel better for my, I don't know what the word is, like for not being as successful as I could be, or like making as much money as I could be or whatever. But I don't think I would fare very well with the pressure and all the eyes on me of blowing up overnight. Do I want to blow up? Hell yeah. Do I want to be successful and influential and popular? Absolutely. Of course I do. I wouldn't be like still doing this and trudging along if I didn't want that for myself. But I want to slowly, gradually get there and like build a thicker skin and like become more confident in my voice and my content and just like figure out what my brand is and what I want to accomplish before I get there, I think. So I'm happy with slow progress. I guess that's all I was trying to say. And then I somehow went on this big digression. But if you'd like to help in that progress, you guys know what to do. I won't say it again in this episode, I promise, but you can follow me on all of my socials. YouTube, you can subscribe. I also have TikTok, which I hate, but I post on there once in a while. Instagram. And yeah, I guess that's it. You can follow me on Pinterest if you want. I think it's just my name, Sarah Birch. I have like 2 followers on there. But following the podcast and leaving a rating and review is ultimately and absolutely the best way you can support me, whether it be Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever. So in fact, I saw this article today or this statistic online that was saying that actually the majority of podcast listeners, which I don't even know if you can say listeners when this is the case, but they're accessing podcasts on YouTube, like 75% of people or something. So that's why everybody, including me, feels the need to record their podcast now, because that seems to be the preferred way that people watch or experience a podcast, even though it's like a little bit defeating the purpose of a podcast, in my opinion. But hey, I'll do what it takes to get to the next level. So here I am with my actual decent lighting today. Aren't you guys proud of me? It's not too bad, not too bad. And we're going to talk about what you guys think are the best and worst parts of being in your 20s. And then, of course, I'll sprinkle in a few of my own little thoughts because it's my podcast. Okay? Not yours. Okay. Have I deleted them all? I'm like, where are they? Oh, yes. Okay. The first one was, I believe, from my friend Josh. Oh my God, imagine if I get that wrong. I do think it was from Josh. Hey, Josh. And he said, when you try to be cool, but teenagers think you're a dinosaur. This is so true. I feel this way all the time when I'm teaching dance. Like, I'm relatively hip, I think. Like, I try to keep up with trends and I try to be kind of cool with my hair and oh my God, I sound lame even just saying this. I'm like trying to justify. I don't think I'm like an old washed up 20-year-old who I think I'm still fun and cool and interesting. I like to think so anyway. But then sometimes I say something that I think is hilarious and it's like crickets with my teenage students or some of my little kids, like the younger ones who have no filter, will ask me like why I'm not married, why I don't have kids. Like they think that you are ancient because you're over the age of 20. And I was the exact same way when I was a kid. Like I thought I would be married with multiple kids by the time I was 25 for sure. That seemed like a lifetime away. So yeah, it's fun in a way because at least you've broken out of that annoying teenager energy of feeling like you have to fit in and you have to impress people and you feel so insecure all the time. Like I do not miss that. I would not go back to being a teenager if you paid me. I loved being a child, like being in elementary school. That was my prime. I was like a big fish in a small pond. And then high school was 4 years of hating myself and hating my life. So honestly, I'm kind of glad to not be a teenager. And if teenagers can't relate to me, then I'll take that as a compliment because I can't relate to them either, I try to, but the more you try, I think the more they pick up on that and then like the more they judge you for it. So who cares what they think? They're going to be an old fart before they know it as well, and they'll be in the same boat as you. Okay, next one. Okay, so I don't know if I should say, I'm not going to say who these are from. We'll keep it anonymous. Sorry, Josh, except for yours. Everyone being at different stages in life and so many friends moving away. The girl who wrote this lives in Northern Ireland, so she specifically said to England or to Australia, which honestly kind of also tracks for Canadians too, because a lot of Canadians like to move to the UK, guilty, or move to Australia. That's also like a common move for young people in Canada, or even potentially to move to New Zealand or wherever. So yeah, that's hard. This is in my opinion, being in your 20s, I think the hardest part for me, I mean, I'm probably going to like say 12, but at least right now in this moment, the hardest part for me is the comparisons between me and like everybody else in their 20s, and just feeling like you're never doing enough, or everyone's ahead of you, or, you know, why is this person at this milestone and I'm not even close? You know, I have lots of friends my age or acquaintances or whatever, girls I went to school with, who literally are like engaged and pregnant right now, which is incredible. But like I'm not even close to that. And in another world, maybe I could have been if I like chose a different path for myself. Focus on me. Oh, I just took a picture. Oopsies. And maybe in another life I could have, this is a shit show. Maybe in another life I could have been pregnant and married right now. But I chose the travel Europe and fall in love with boys who don't want to be with you and just be like a starving artist vibe. That's kind of like the path I took. And now I'm like kind of trying to be like a corporate girly, and like it's not going very well. Whatever, like you just always feel like you're 2 steps behind or 2 steps ahead. Like maybe some people in their 20s feel like they rushed through stuff and they wish they could go back and take more of the path that I took, you know? Being in your 20s, in my opinion, is the most like progressive, dramatic decade, influential. I don't know if influential is the right word, but like the most happens and the most change happens in your 20s. That's what I've heard anyway from other people who are older. And that's kind of what I've personally experienced. Like 22 to 24 is like a huge change. 24 to 26, huge change, et cetera, et cetera. Like, and people always say, you know, oh, wait till that boy is 28 and he'll be so different. And you're like, but he's 26. Like, what? Like, how can 2 years make a difference? But honestly, sometimes it does. And you just experience so much change with relationships and work, and you just mature. It's like the decade of maturity, but it also is like, I think, the decade of fun and freedom and chaos and heartbreak and everything in between. So that's why I wanted to build a podcast around it, to get into all of that stuff. But so I guess going back to what my friend said, it sucks that I don't know whether she was referring to like, it just sucks the fact that her friends are leaving and moving away, because that does suck. Obviously, like all of my friends right now live in different cities, countries, places, and it really does suck. It's not the same vibe as it was in university, where you all go out together 3 nights a week and go to coffee and study together and do the whole thing together. Like, you do spend a lot more alone time, I think, for most people in their 20s, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But friendships are a big thing that ebbs and flows for sure in your 20s, not just because of people moving or people being in different stages and maybe not being able to relate to people anymore, but also just like friendship falling out, you know, just not seeing eye to eye on stuff anymore, growing in different directions. It happens. So yeah, listen to our friendship fights and breakups episode from last year if you want to hear more about that. Okay, next one. Best part, buying whatever you want, bracket or parentheses. I always call it bracket, but I think it's parentheses. Dog, home, clothes, etc. Worst part, having no money. Absolutely hit the nail on the head with that one. It is so fun and so rewarding to be able to be in charge of your own finances and like actually buy the things you want to buy or the things you've been dreaming about, like a puppy. Like I bought a puppy in the last year, or buy a plane ticket so you can go travel, or buy whatever clothes you want, or buy that $100 perfume that your parents would have never let you buy. Just never having finances in your 20s. You haven't had enough time to really accumulate proper savings. And the cost of living right now in the 2020s, in your 20s, is literally not doable. Like, there's a huge crisis right now of younger folks like living at home or having to move back home or having to work like 3 jobs in order to sustain like a normal lifestyle. Like normal, I guess I mean a good quality of life, like your own apartment, your own car, your own whatever, like being able to stay on top of your bills and being able to travel once in a while. And that it is frustrating to know you have the freedom sometimes to buy things or go where you want to go or do what you want to do, but you know deep down that it's probably not a good idea, and you kind of have to make like the responsible decision. I don't know if I've ever done that once in my life, but I know other people do it, so good for them. I'm sitting on the floor and my butt hurts so badly right now. This is not glamorous at all. Speaking of which, this is a similar sort of vein as the last one. Gaining enough insight to want to solo travel, but not having the money or time off to do it. So similar idea of wanting something and feeling like you're finally able to do it. Like I could definitely get that dog now because I'm finally responsible enough to take care of it. Or I could definitely go travel solo because I finally feel confident enough. And then you're like, oh, but I have a whole ass life that I can't alter. Like, I can't quit my job. I can't take multiple weeks off of work or else I'll lose my job. Like, whatever it might be. Like, I have an apartment, but my apartment won't allow pets, so I can't get the pet that I want to get it. And it's just complicated. But when there's a will, there's a way. That's what I will say. And sometimes you have to, like, make sacrifices for travel. Like, travel is not something that easily fits into most people's lives. It's something that they have to, like, abandon their life to go travel and then, like, hope to God that everything comes back into place when they come back. And sometimes, like me as an example, sometimes it takes a while to kind of get your bearings again once you come back. But yeah, I mean, I like abandoned everything when I went to travel. Like, I would always quit whatever job I was working. I would give all my clothes to my friends and family and sayonara, you know, and that's just how I was. But I think if you're always waiting for like permission to travel or like the right time to travel or the right person to go with you, like you'll literally never go. I would just really decide if you're 50 and you look back on your 20s, are you really truly going to regret not going? And if the answer is yes, then make it happen for yourself, even if that means making some scary decisions and risking losing your boyfriend or your job or whatever, you know. But whatever you lose, you also gain in other ways. So remember that. It's because to me, that is like the scariest fate, like a fate worse than death, is to live the later half of my life with like all of these haunting regrets and what ifs and, oh, I should have said this, I should have done that, I should have gone for it. I go for everything almost to a fault. And that's why I get my heart crushed 4 times a year on average. Okay, so, but hey, I can say I lived fully and authentically and I didn't hold anything back. And I don't know if a lot of other people will be able to say that, you know, when they leave their 20s, because fear just creeps on in and doubt and hesitation. And do it for 50-year-old you. Do it for her or him or them or they. Do it. Do it. Okay, next one. The best thing is having so much time to try fun things out. The energy is electric. This person did not put a worst thing, which is fine. I'm sure I can fill in the worst thing for them since I'm a little negative Nelly sometimes. Like, that is the decade of drama and lessons and love and fashion and sex. And I mean, this is generalization, obviously. Everybody has different experiences. But overall, I'm just saying the way your 20s is like depicted is usually with that electric energy, whether it be in a song or a movie or a book. And I do feel that. But more so in my early 20s, I was living my best life and the energy was electric and I felt unstoppable. And now I'm a little bit like, can someone help me? Like, I can't. Like, I have no energy to do anything anymore. Yeah, I wish for everybody that electric, amazing feeling and vibe never, ever ends, ever. But, you know, life ebbs and flows. You're going to have a few weeks where you feel awesome and a few weeks where you are so bored and so disenchanted with life. I think travel is a huge thing to help with that electricity and dating and going out dancing and socializing. And so do as much of that as you can, especially if you want to reinvigorate your spirit. Like, just, you know, have fun and do the same things you did the last time. Like, what was the last time you felt electric and what were you doing? And like, do those things again, you know? This one, the worst thing, everything feels existential. So true. You always feel like you're doing the wrong thing no matter what. Absolutely true. And I think society also makes us feel that way. You know, you could get married and have kids when you're 22 and people in society would tell you, oh, that's too young, you're throwing your life away. Or you could still stay single and be like partying and dancing and living your best life when you're 29. And people will be like, you're throwing your life away. What are you doing? Like, I think men probably face the same sort of struggles of wanting to be the provider and have a good job and maybe wanting to be, I know I've experienced this. Like, I know I've experienced this with boys, like wanting, notice how I say boys, like boys wanting to have a long-term relationship and a girlfriend and someone to build a life with and a partner in life. And they have like the best girl ever at their fingertips. And then they're like, oh, I don't want to give up my youth. I don't want to give up my freedom. Like, and then they, mess it up or whatever, or they're not ready. Like, and I mean, I'm sure a lot of girls do that too, but I think it's just this push and pull of wanting to fit in and be mature and have a good life and have those foundational blocks holding you up for the next oncoming decade, but also not wanting to get rid of your youth, your freedom, your fun, your flirtatiousness. And a lot of people, I think, get hurt in the process and like yanked around and led on and misled. I'm not just talking about myself. Like, I've seen this happen with family, with friends, like, someone claiming they want one thing for 3 years out of their 20s, and then they like change their mind on a dime, and then both parties have to restart and like start from scratch. Just be true to yourself and authentic to yourself. And as long as you know that what you're doing is the right thing, and you believe that you're a good person and you have good intentions and you're strong and you're kind, then fuck what everybody else has to say. And I don't know, like, I feel it too. You're not alone, whoever wrote this in. I also feel like I'm failing every single day and I'm not doing enough. It's important to remember like how much you've grown, and I know that's really cliche, but like take a look at how much you've grown in the last few years. Not even necessarily financially or in a relationship, because maybe you haven't. Like, maybe you're not in a drastically different situation than you were in terms of the circumstances of your life, but how much have you grown spiritually, emotionally? Are you a better friend? Are you a better daughter or brother or lover or whatever? Like, I've grown exponentially as a human. I'm very proud of the woman that I am, and the dog mom that I am, and the friend I am, and the daughter I am. I'm not perfect by any means, but I think I've come a long way in terms of maturing and being more wise and being more patient. So that's important to keep in mind as well, like to always give yourself a pat on the back for, all the things you have done right and all of the progressions you have made. And not everybody's going to see that. And there's some people that are just never going to be happy no matter what. So just make sure that you are happy with you. And that's really all that matters, to be honest. And we all feel it, I think that's the moral to this episode, is like whether you are quote unquote killing it and making tons of money and traveling the world and whatever, or you have an amazing boyfriend, like you're still going to feel a lack. There's still going to be something in your life that you feel like you missed out on, or you're missing, or that doesn't feel right, or you want to change, and vice versa. Like, there's not one person in their 20s out there, well, maybe there is, and I'd love to meet them and get all their secrets, but there's probably not many people in their 20s out there who are feeling like they've got it all figured out and that they made all the right decisions and that they know exactly what the next 5 years are going to look like. So just like, we're all in the same boat. Just some boats are a little further out to sea than others. But hey, the tides are ever changing and the winds are ever changing. So you never know. You never know what could happen. Some people who get a later start, more in the long run because they're more mature when they get into that relationship or they get that job or whatever it may be. So yeah, keep that in mind. Is that it? Do I have any more? Oh, 2 more. Living with my best friends. That would be their best thing. And scared of going into another relationship. Ooh, that's such a toughie. I haven't lived with my friends in a while, not since university, but that is a really fun part, I'm sure. Just socializing with friends in general, traveling with friends, partying with friends, going out to brunches and dinners, like that is such an awesome part of your 20s. And then it does slowly start to change and dwindle in some ways, unfortunately, when people start getting in relationships and married and kids and families. Like, friendships naturally do shift and change a little bit. So when you're in your young 20s especially, that is like the time for friendship. Friendship is everything to you at that time. At least it should be, because you're kind of moving away from family and being so reliant on family, and maybe you're not fully engaged in a long-term relationship yet. And then it's just like the time to just discover friends, and not the stupid friends. Ugh, I sound so harsh. Not the friends that you were like forced to be friends with in high school because there was like 1,000 people at your school. Like actual people who align with your values, who encourage you to be better, who make you laugh, who make you feel good. And if you haven't upgraded your friends since you were 16, maybe take a look at your life. And hey, maybe it's like One Tree Hill and all of these people are like really special, honest, loyal, amazing people. And if they are, that's super wicked. But I still think you should be accumulating as you go while you keep those friends, if they're super, super special to you. Still make new friends and meet new people, and people who speak different languages and have lived in different places and have different sexualities and different perspectives. You should always be opening your mind to male perspectives, female perspectives, older people, younger people, if you really want to be a well-rounded person who's growing and who's changing. If you're hearing the same voices that you did when you were 16, all throughout your 20s, I don't know, that concerns me a little bit, to be quite honest. And then going into another relationship, honey, I don't even know what to tell you. I feel you. I'm there with you. Personally, 2023 for me is not that year. We are not doing that. Unless he's coming through with a ring and getting down on one knee and a huge bouquet of flowers, then I'll consider it. But otherwise, I'm super happy this year, just thriving within myself, healing past traumas and toxicity that I carry within relationships because of those past traumas, and focusing on myself, my career, my creativity, my podcast, my friends, exercising, whatever it may be. I want to decorate my space, my apartment for me, and not for me and a boy. I want to go out to the restaurants that I want to eat at, that are on my bucket list, and not have to ask my boyfriend, okay, where should we go tonight? I just want to live for me. I want to be selfish. I have so much love. Maybe you feel this way too, person who wrote this. I have so much love that I pour into every person I date, and I literally love people so much, despite their flaws, despite them hurting me, despite them betraying me. I love. I still love all of my exes. I genuinely do. But then I had this realization of why aren't I giving that love to myself? Why aren't I? Why am I not? I don't know if that was good grammar. Why am I not giving that love to myself? Why am I not nurturing the wounds and the mistakes and the vulnerabilities within myself? Why am I not giving myself enough grace and enough forgiveness than I give these guys who fuck around with me? These guys treat me like crap sometimes, and I'm still oh, I forgive you, because I know who they are. I know that they are good people, even when they're not acting like good people. And I try to see the whole picture. And then it's sometimes I can't do that with myself, and I can't speak to myself kindly and forgive myself for saying the wrong thing, or go easy on myself if I'm having a lazy day and I'm not getting a lot done. The things I say to myself are so mean. You're lazy, you're unproductive, you're embarrassing. Good God. So no. Until, as RuPaul says, until you love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else? And that is truly my mantra of 2023. And I really hope that lots of young men and women have the same energy as I do, because we need more healed, whole people in the dating sphere right now. I don't know, I guess that goes back to the whole existential thing. I am definitely in the most existential time of my life right now, and really trying to get to the root of everything, and really doing tarot and manifestations and meditations and so many things to try to heal the inner child, and I think it's going to radically change my life, and especially my love life. And I'm in no rush to knock that off the priority list and put some random guy on the priority list, because that's what happens. I'm sorry, you like Call Me Pretty? You're on the top of my priority list. You like Kiss Me? Okay, you're on the top of the priority list. Like, I'm just a lover. I can't help it. So, yeah, we're avoiding men like the plague this year, unless if you're listening to this and you are my husband and you know you're my husband and you are a good man and you're sexy as hell, then we can talk. But other than that, stay away. Thank you. Okay, next one. And feel free to message me more of these if you'd like on Instagram, and I can include them in another episode in the future. But it's super fun not having to think of all of this myself and to actually get you guys involved. So yeah, next one is best is trips and hangouts with your girlfriends or boyfriends. And the worst is when your friends start to move away. I do have to say my girly Kieran wrote this one. I'd like to think that she was talking about me when she said moved away, because her and I obviously both lived in Victoria together, and then I moved back to good old Kingston. I don't even know why anymore, to be honest. But anyway, yeah, that sucks. Similar to what the other person was saying from Northern Ireland, like this is the decade where I feel like the most uprooting happens. People taking new jobs, new relationships, people just wanting to travel, like people are catching flights and not feelings in their 20s these days. So that is hard. And your friendship circle is like ever changing. And of course you can stay in touch with people through FaceTime or social media, but it's just not the same. And it is hard. But I just try to be happy for people, like as best as I can, even though sometimes I feel sad or lonely. I'm like, well, at least all my friends are out there living their best lives and they're only a phone call away or whatever. And it gives you an excuse to travel and see people and meet up halfway and go on a trip together. Like, it just takes initiative. It's the same as a long distance relationship. Like, you just got to check in, you got to make that initiative and not put too much pressure on each other, I guess. And then totally, trips and hangouts with your friends is the best. And we already talked about that. Literally, those are the memories and the moments that stick with you for the rest of your life and satiate you. So just make sure you enjoy them and you take advantage of stuff when you can, when you have the energy, when you have the time. Like, say yes to things as much as you can and put yourself out there and take risks and have fun. Stop putting so much pressure on yourself. You're never going to get these years back. You're never going to get these days back. There's plenty of time for adulting. There's plenty of time for being a parent, being a boss, being a homeowner. Like, do I think you should be ignoring adulthood altogether? No. But don't rush into it too fast if you can help it, because just you'll never be this young and hot and free again. So you better enjoy it. You better make the most of it and make yourself proud. Make your older, wrinkly self proud when they look back on you. And all of this pain and like confusion and discomfort that I'm going through the last few years with all this heartbreak and change and moving and loss, it's all going to be like romanticized when I'm an old fart and I'm like telling my grandkids, and at least like I know I'll have so many cool stories to tell them. And at least I have that, I don't have a lot to call my own anymore other than Darla, but at least I have a bunch of wicked stories to tell. And if I can't speak or if I have dementia, we will put on 20-somethings podcast and they can listen to their crazy little granny rambling on about life in her 20s in the 2020s. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed that episode. Thank you so much again. If you contributed, I might do a few more like this, and that will always be on Instagram for the most part if I do ask for like prompts or questions or whatever. So make sure you follow me there if you haven't. All right, guys, I love you. I respect you. I appreciate you. I'm proud of you, and enjoy your 20s. I'll see you next week. Bye.